Ariana Grande was born on June 26, 1993, in Boca Raton, Florida, into a world that blended creativity, business, and family ambition. Her mother, Joan Grande, was the CEO of a communications company, while her father, Edward Butera, was a graphic designer. Ariana grew up in a household that deeply valued hard work, and she was surrounded by her Italian heritage, something she later said shaped not only her identity but her stage presence. She also has a half-brother, Frankie Grande, who went on to become an entertainer and strong supporting presence in her life. From an early age, Ariana's voice stood out. At just 8 years old, she performed the Star-Spangled Banner at a Florida Panthers hockey game, her small voice soaring confidently over the stadium as she held the world in her hands. Around the same age, she joined the Fort Lauderdale Children's Theater and landed her first role, the titular character in Annie. Her childhood was not ordinary. Music and performance were always there, but so were the challenges of growing up in a broken home. Her parents separated when she was just around 8, and though the divorce shook her, it also gave her a deep well of emotion she would draw on as she grew. In school, Ariana was smart, ambitious, and already dreaming big. She attended Pinecrest School and later North Broward Preparatory School, but as her acting and singing career began to take off, she shifted to homeschooling, balancing her education with auditions and early performances. She poured herself into theater, not just acting, but singing and dancing, and she was determined. Her mother encouraged her, recognizing very early how special her daughter's voice was, and giving her the freedom to imagine a world where she could perform on Broadway, on television, or on a stage in front of thousands. By age 13, that dream grew wings when Ariana landed a role on Broadway in the musical 13. That part wasn't just a credit. It was a declaration that she was serious about her career, that she saw herself not only as a teenager but as an artist in the making. She left Florida for New York, diving headfirst into auditions, shows, and the whirlwind energy of the theater world. Even then, she carried in her heart a sense of purpose. She didn't just want to perform. She wanted to be heard. She wanted her voice to matter. Despite being young, Ariana already understood sacrifice. She made tough choices, leaving behind her childhood friends, embracing a demanding rehearsal schedule, and dealing with the normal insecurities of adolescence while also grappling with the pressure of adult expectations. She wasn't shielded from the world's eyes, and she learned early that stardom would not be handed to her. She would have to earn it. In 2009, her life changed again when she auditioned for and won the role of Cat Valentine in the Nickelodeon television show Victorious. Her bubbly red-haired character became a beloved figure on the show, and Ariana began to cultivate a public persona, but behind the scenes, she felt a calm seriousness. She was not just an actress. She was a performer with a voice, and even while filming a sitcom, she continued to push toward music. She wasn't satisfied with being just a TV star. She wanted to create her own songs, to make music that came from her soul. As she gained visibility, the music world started to call her. While still acting, Ariana recorded covers on YouTube, uploaded videos, and experimented with her sound. Her natural 4-octave vocal range dazzled producers, and in 2011 she got signed to Republic Records. That same year she released her first single, Put Your Hearts Up, but later she admitted she didn't feel that song represented who she truly was. She longed for authenticity, for a sound that matched her voice, her soul. So she turned her focus to creating real music, honest, heartfelt, powerful. In 2013, she dropped her debut album, Yours Truly, and it was nothing short of a breakthrough. The album mixed pop and R&B in a way that highlighted her extraordinary voice, and the single The Way, featuring Mac Miller, became a huge hit. Suddenly, Ariana was not just a teen star, she was a recording artist and she was being taken seriously. The world began listening, and she realized that her path would not just be built on her acting success, but on her power as a singer. But success brought its own pressures. As she recorded her second album, she realized that her voice, her gift, came with vulnerability. She poured her heart into My Everything, an album full of emotional honesty, songs about love, heartbreak, ambition, and risk. Hits like Problem, Break Free, and One Last Time resonated with millions. Because Ariana's voice was not just technically amazing, it was deeply human. She was growing up in the public eye, navigating fame, relationships, criticism, and her own dreams, and she used every note and lyric to tell the truth of her experience. Yet life outside of the studio was also turbulent. Behind the glamour, she carried the weight of her parents' divorce, the loss of privacy, and the expectation that she would always be perfect. She saw her public persona blossom, and she also felt the cracks in her personal life widen. But she refused to be defined by struggle alone. Instead, she used it, artistically, emotionally, spiritually, to grow. In 2016, Ariana delivered one of the most critically acclaimed albums of her career, Dangerous Woman. She embraced a more mature sound and more daring themes, empowerment, desire, vulnerability. The title track soared, but behind its strength lay Ariana's own journey of self-acceptance. She didn't shy away from difficult feelings, and her fans saw her not just as a pop star, but as a real person. She toured, she performed, as she grew stronger. Then came a defining moment in her life and career. In 2017, during her Dangerous Woman tour, tragedy struck. In Manchester, at one of her concerts, a bombing caused by a terrorist attack rocked her world and the lives of many in her audience. 22 people lost their lives, and Ariana was left to grapple with grief, fear, and responsibility. In the wake of that horror, she responded not with silence but with strength. She organized the One Love Manchester benefit concert, brought together other artists, raised funds for victims, and used her platform to heal. Her voice, once again, became a symbol, not just of entertainment, but of hope, unity, and resilience. The tragedy changed Ariana. She became more thoughtful, more committed to using her influence for good. Her next album, Sweetener, released in 2018, reflected that evolution. It was joyful, grieving, defiant, loving, and healing all at once. Songs like No Tears Left to Cry captured her commitment to carry on, to lift up rather than fall. She collaborated with Pharrell Williams, she experimented with new sounds, and she opened her heart in ways she never had before. She toured the world, but she also took time to reflect, to process, to learn. Her voice matured, her presence deepened. She was no longer just a pop star chasing hits. She was an artist with purpose. A woman using her music to express a life transformed by both joy and pain. As the years passed, Ariana continued to reinvent herself. Her 2019 album Thank You Next was a phenomenon. It wasn't just an album, but a cultural moment. The title track was an anthem of maturity, self-love, and growth. She openly referenced her past relationships, her heartbreak, and her growth. She named songs after former partners not to shame them, but to show the journey she had walked. With 7 Rings, she celebrated friendship, independence, and empowerment, flipping materialism into an expression of care. With Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored, she played with desire and boundary in ways that felt bold, playful, and deeply human. The album resonated with a generation who saw loves lost, loves learned, and loves embraced as lessons. She invited the world into her heart, and the world sang back. Ariana's success was not only measured in chart-topping singles, but in the sheer weight of her influence. She won Grammy Awards, smashed streaming records, and became one of the defining voices of her generation. But she didn't stop there. She branched into acting again, she continued touring, she collaborated with other major artists, and she used her voice to speak out for causes she believed in. Her album Positions 2020 leaned into lush, intimate production and carried a sense of maturity and reflection. She wasn't just singing about love, she was living it, thinking about responsibility, power, and commitment. Her video for Positions even visualized her as head of state, A metaphor for control, power, and identity, her journey also included personal challenges beyond her professional life. She openly grappled with anxiety, with grief, with the pressures of fame. She experienced loss, not just in her career, but in her personal relationships. Yet she maintained her compassion, her empathy, and her commitment to self-care. She acknowledged therapy, healing, and the work it took to be both a public figure and a person with emotions and scars. She grew not only as an artist, but as a human being who understood that strength does not mean you do not feel, but that you feel and you move forward. In 2024 and beyond, Ariana's artistry expanded in unexpected ways. She returned to her theatrical roots, even taking on the iconic role of Glinda in Wicked, a dream she carried since childhood. Her name in the credits read Ariana Grande Butera, a nod to her heritage, her family, and the person she had become. Her artistic vision extended beyond music. She directed, she performed. She narrated her own story through albums that weren't just collections of songs, but chapters in her life. She also embarked on deeply personal creative projects, including a short film that reflected memory, love, growth, and the delicate tension between public life and inner life. Looking back at her journey now, Ariana Grande's legacy shines with clarity. She came from a place of talent, not entitlement, and built a career on voice, not spectacle. She showed that vulnerability can be strength, that heartbreak can be art, and that love, in all its complex forms, can be a source of power. She inspired millions with her honesty, her creativity, and her courage. She used her platform not just to entertain, but to heal, to protest, to uplift, and to connect. Her story is not only about chart-topping hits or sold-out tours, it's about resilience, change, and growth. Ariana Grande, the girl who sang in children's theater, who took to Broadway as a teenager, who rose as a Nickelodeon star and became one of the greatest voices of her generation. She has shaped a legacy that goes beyond music. She has become a beacon for anyone who dares to dream, to hurt, to heal, and to rise. Her journey reminds us that life's biggest moments are not just in the applause, but in the quiet whispers of the heart, and that true greatness comes not only from talent, but from love, truth, and the courage to be yourself.